ICE agents are just doing their job, and I fully support that.
Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
What? What you're not hearing about is the number of violent criminals that they've caught. And it's a lot. It's in the thousands.
So a massive anti-ICE signal chat group basically got infiltrated and it imploded. So much so that we now know lieutenant governors have been a part of this. Like acting politicians, acting United States representatives have been a part of this weird Minnesota anti-ICE protest deep signal ring, which is kind of crazy. Then you have John Fetterman, who's actually against the Democrats and stands with ICE. You have Tim Walz, who's comparing Nazi Germany and Frank to these ICE riots. I mean, it's just bananas what's going on. We're going to take a look at it because there's a lot of new developments that took place in the last hour as of posting this video. So let's get right into it. All I ask in return is for you guys to hit the like button and subscribe. The Minnesota Timberwolves paused for a moment of silence to honor Alex Preddy before Sunday's game versus the Warriors. You can see here they're on the court. Then they actually bring them on
during this difficult time. Please join us in honoring the.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, dude. That's kind of crazy considering I don't really think a lot of sports teams did that for Charlie Kirk, but anyways, then you have a bunch of Minnesota's top businesses and professional sports teams that have released a joint statement calling for an immediate de-escalation and urging all parties to work together to find real resolutions. Yeah, why don't you actually start putting pressure on the Democrats that are saying, go and take on ICE, go and get ICE out of here and get it's literally the Democrats and the mainstream media that is radicalizing people by being anti-American. Because as we're going to see, Obama was literally pro-deportations. The Democrats in the past have been pro-deportations, but because it's Trump doing it, all of a sudden now people are getting their panties tied in a knot. But here you go. Minnesota's Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan is reportedly an admin in the insurrectionist signal group. This is her right here. You can see 2 weeks ago, she posted on Instagram, grateful to all Minnesotans, who showed up at the Capitol tonight to honor the life of Renee Good. Here she is here. She deleted her Facebook. If Minnesota's elected officials don't go to jail for this, then we don't have a justice system in America, says Laura Loomer on X, tagging Pam Bondi. And here's a screenshot of the signal chat once it was publicly posted. All this information, like every single person just started leaving, and it's a little too late. People have infiltrated it. The news is out there. People know. And yeah, all these people are going to be going to jail. Very likely they're all going to jail. But now it's actually gotten out of Minnesota, the protests, and you've got some people in LA. Some migrant rioters are blocking the road and burning American flags. But don't worry, because they're not just protesting in LA. Yes, they are still in Minneapolis. In fact, it's actually getting a little bit worse. People are writing death to America, F ICE, a pig is a pig, F ICE. I mean, vandalizing buildings, vandalizing storefronts, and they're chanting F Nazis at federal agents outside of federal facilities. Kind of unhinged. But it's good to know that some people, they actually do get, put to jail. You have Homeland Security saying arrested for throwing ice blocks at law enforcement in Minneapolis. Federal crime, felony, you will be arrested. And then in addition to all of that stuff, you've got people launching fireworks at buildings, at hotels where ICE agents are staying, like into rooms, into the building, which is highly, highly illegal. Blocking roads, the whole shebang, you name it, they're doing it. Yeah, very, very much still getting out of hand, and I feel like something needs to happen. But let's revisit an older video, shall we? This is Barack Obama in 2013.
You know, I'm the President of the United States. I'm not the Emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed. And Congress right now has not changed what I consider to be a broken immigration system. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that we have certain obligations to enforce the laws that are in place, even if we think that in many cases the results may be tragic. There are going to be some stories that break our hearts. And more importantly, we're going to continue to have an economy that is stifled by a really inefficient system where not only are we deporting folks, but we also have a legal immigration system that is so bottlenecked that it forces sometimes people into the illegal system. You know,
Yeah. So, I mean, when you break it down, when you look at the numbers, okay, 12.5 million deportations, 0 protests and riots under Clinton. Bush, 10.3 million deportations, 0 protests and 0 riots. Then you have under Barack Obama, 5.2 million deportations, 0 protests and 0 riots. And then you have President Trump, 1.5 million deportations so far, 350 protests and riots. It's very clearly an attack on Trump. Presidents of the past have left and the right have been deporting illegals. It's been a thing. America always does it. It's just that because it's President Trump doing it, the left is absolutely melting down. You even have a guy here who's quote tweeting Barack Obama saying, dude killed 67 people during his ICE years. The gaslighting never ends. Yeah, it never freaking ends. Then you got the White House that put together this video here. It's almost like a movie trailer.
In Minneapolis, we will not cooperate with ICE or any federal agency.
What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust.
These Border Patrol officers
Of course, I bear responsibility to bring down the temperature.
To ICE, get the f*** out of Minneapolis.
Sure, that's part of my role as mayor. And by the way, protests here in Minneapolis are peaceful.
The desire to get out and protest and to speak up to this administration of how wrong this is, that is a patriotic duty. That is a patriotic duty.
We have had perhaps tens of thousands of people peacefully protesting. Yeah, they are going to stand up for their neighbors.
The human desire to lash out in this moment is very real. And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government.
Yep, that's all I gotta say about that. These people are very much responsible for all of the hatred that is coming towards ICE agents, towards the federal government, to its entire capacity, and specifically to President Trump. It's disgusting how the left is getting away with this.
But you can't police people for being anti-Israel or pro-Israel. You can police people for violating the law. And we have seen some of that with some of these protests.
Okay, so you agree that people who break in and vandalize a building should be prosecuted?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm just checking because you did help raise money for people who did so on January 6th, which was, impeding an official proceeding, breaking into a building that they weren't allowed to be in, and vandalizing the Capitol.
Well, Caitlin, I know that this is the obsession of the national media to talk about what happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago on January the 6th.
It's not an obsession. I'm just seeing if it's a double standard.
No, let me answer the question, Caitlin. I mean, look, here's been my basic argument about January the 6th. If you beat up a cop, of course you deserve to go to prison. If you violated the law, you should suffer the consequences. But there are people who protested on January the 6th who have had the complete weight of the Justice Department thrown at them when, at worst, they're accused of misdemeanors. Now, again, there are people who are accused of worse offenses, and that's a problem. But you can't have Black Lives Matter protesters who rioted and vandalized go free when you have people who were actually peacefully protesting on January the 6th who have the book thrown at them. That's the double standard that I'm most worried about.
Yeah, I don't think there's an obsession with January 6th, but it is a legitimate question. And given what you just said there, and as Trump is getting closer to, as he's a presumptive Republican nominee, he has said he would pardon, he's considered a blanket pardon for everyone on January 6th. Are you saying that shouldn't happen? People who beat up cops should be excluded from that?
Well, I think what President Trump has said, and of course he can speak for himself, but I pay pretty close attention to what he says. And I think what the president has said is that people who have this double standard applied to them should be pardoned. And
there you go. CNN, of course, are still obsessed with January 6th.
Absolutely unacceptable, terrible, awful. ICE agents are just doing their job, and I fully support that. And for me, and people in my party might want to abolish it or treat them as criminals or anything that's inappropriate and outrageous. ICE performs an important job for our nation. Absolutely.
Wow. The left can't even handle the fact that John Fetterman is able to say such things. Pretty common sense thing. Every president has used ICE to what it's supposed to be used for, a federal agency to get rid of illegals inside of America. It's nothing new, yet it's been overly politicized, and frankly, the left is really using it to attack specifically Donald Trump, and it's costing American citizens their lives. It's gross, it's disgusting, and something really needs to stop before it gets worse.
We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota.
What?
And there's one person who can end this now. We have...
Yeah, how about you? How about you stop radicalizing people? What the heck? And you got a lesbian gnome here next to you doing sign language? Come on, man. What the heck? This is like a weird... This isn't about how many people I can put on the street. It's about how many of these people, these ICE agents and whoever else was thrown into this unholy mess, how many Donald Trump can get out of here. Minnesotans, you've won the hearts and minds of people across this country, and you've done it through your peaceful, resolved defense of your neighbors and the Constitution. So once again, Minnesotans, stay peaceful, stay safe. Change is coming, and we can feel it. But this fight still goes on. The way he words things, the fight still goes on, blah, 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 blah. Like, come on, man. How is he allowed to say things like this? He's literally incentivizing violence. He wants an insurrection to take place. He wants a coup to take place. This is weird what's going on national television.
It's only in places like Minneapolis where you're seeing civilians being shot by ICE officers. You're not seeing this sort of thing in places like Florida.
That's
because
a good point.
In Minneapolis, you have a radicalized population of Disney-brained adults who think that they're in a movie. They literally think they're like superheroes resisting tyranny in a movie. So they show up to protest armed, and intentionally intervene and agitate federal law enforcement activities. And it's like, these people think that this is what the Second Amendment's for. It's for resisting tyranny. You are not resisting tyranny by resisting the enforcement of federal law that people voted for, by the way. Trump ran on enforcing our immigration laws. Just because you're radicalized population in Minneapolis didn't vote for those laws doesn't mean that they cease to be federal law. They should still be enforced, and interfering with the enforcement of those laws is literally resisting the will of the American people. You are not the hero you think you are. You're a radicalized Disney-brained adult who thinks that you're the superhero in a movie when in actuality you've just been brainwashed to fight against your own interests.
Dude, this is exactly what I've been saying. These people have main character syndrome. They think they're Luke Skywalker or something in a rebellion fighting against Darth Vader. It's weird, man. Like, come back to reality. Take your meds, you weird liberals.
With the ICE thing, what you're only seeing and you're only hearing about American citizens that have been arrested, the lady that got shot. You're hearing about all these negative matters. What you're not hearing about is the number of violent criminals that they've caught, and it's a lot. It's in the thousands. It's not like thousands of American citizens have been shipped out to other countries. It's like net positive, if you look at it that way. With the ICE,
yeah, there's been tens of thousands, and President Trump was listing off a bunch of them for like an hour and 10 minutes the other day in the White House before he flew to Davos to destroy all those globalist elites. It's absolutely impressive what he's doing, and all this good stuff gets buried under Tim Walz comparing Anne Frank to Minneapolis anti-ICE rioters. I mean, what the heck kind of world are we living in? If this is a movie, it's a bizarre movie, and I don't want to be a part of it. I wish that these people would go back home and take their meds and stop living in this delusionary state of mind where they think that they're like a superhero in a made up movie. Bro, this is real life. You can't attack the law enforcement. You can't go for their guns. You can't jump on their cars. You can't try to hit them with cars. You can peacefully protest. You can stand on the sidewalk and go, hey, go away. Hey, that's like kind of pretty much it. You can't take dumpsters and light them on fire and barricade yourself in a part of the city core and now claim ownership of a part of a city. Like, what the hell are you smoking? This doesn't make any sense that people think they can do this shit and get away with it. And the law enforcement, I mean, yeah, there's been, a variety of things that have gone sideways. A lot of things have, not been very good news lately coming out of all this. But all things considered, I think the law enforcement, ICE, been pretty freaking patient with these wackos, and I think it's gonna get freaking ugly. I don't know when. I thought it would happen this weekend. Maybe it's gonna happen sometime this week or next weekend. I don't know, but what I do know is I feel like it's gonna get worse before it gets better, and I don't know where the top is. I don't know when we've peaked at how worse it can get, but I think once it happens, we'll be like, oh yeah, this is pretty bad. This is probably the worst that can happen. So I again, this is not good for anybody. Not good for anybody. Just go home. Go play like video games or something. Stop going to these riots. What are these people doing? Go get laid. Go drink a beer. Go draw. Go do anything. Oh my goodness, man. Anyways, like and subscribe for more content like this. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.